Good morning. How are you? Well, we're getting closer to New Year's Eve, and I want to wish you the best in these remaining days of the old year and to brace ourselves for what the new year may bring. I'll be talking to you before New Year's Eve. The weather is blue sky, no wind, 40 plus degrees, feels warmer without the wind. So that's really nice. Thinking about what's interesting and bothersome, I suppose, is the question of what we're doing for those who are quarantining. And we have a new rule that says if you've been exposed and say you were asymptomatic, that you only have to wait 5 days before you return to work. And we're talking about first responders and health officials and stuff like that. And why did they change the rule? They didn't change the rule because of the science. They changed the rule because we're anticipating a mad rush of infections from Omicron, the variant on COVID-19. And that means that we're going to be put at some risk because we're lowering the standard. And this triage is being found necessary because of how many infections there are. And the infections are climbing rapidly. The average is increasing all the time, the average of infections. And deaths are still kind of constant, but in the 1,200 to 1,400 range, but on a 7-day average. But that always lags. Those numbers, death and hospitalizations, lag. So we'll have to watch and wait and see what that is. As we approach the end of the year, and we're concerned about how people are doing in the season, which is supposed to be of joy, but also of charity, we have the child tax credit, which is $300. And for some, that might not seem like a lot. And God bless those people who are in that situation, myself included. But for others, to pay for gas and groceries and some food and perhaps a couple of dollars toward the rent that is past due and owing, it makes a big difference. And so on December the 31st, those funds evaporate because our do-nothing Congress, for all its BS about caring about the people, didn't extend it. So that's a troubling aspect of our paralytic government, that it is so interested in fighting for the next campaign and not even doing that the way we would choose it to be done. That is the issues and the force with which we wish it would be done. But how they're compromising people who need our help. And you and I, we do what we can, cans for certain places, I don't know, all the things that individuals can do. But let's face it, in terms of putting their shoulder to the grind, we have the funds to make a difference in the cold season of the year, and we're not doing it. That's a shame and a disgrace. Then the other thing that we have to think about as decisions approach from the Supreme Court are what's going to happen with those commission findings. Nothing. I believe nothing. Because any of the legislation that's required is not going to be passed by the Congress. So nothing is going to happen, like a lot of other things, name it, voting rights, social justice, the cloture vote. So we're in a very terrible situation in terms of making a difference. Now, we have a specific answer from Congress that they're not going to do anything to introduce term limits for members of the Supreme Court. I am much in favor of what some call packing the court, which is adding 4 justices, 3 for the justices who should never have been approved, and 1 so that it's an odd number for the purposes of making actual decisions. But those things aren't going to happen. And if Biden is not going to get in his bully pulpit and say something, he's not going to have the effect that FDR did when FDR chilled the court by offering his packing scheme, if you will, because otherwise his legislation, which was to remedy the condition at the time, wouldn't pass. I think that if the president were to get on his bully pulpit and talk about these revisions, that we'd stand a chance of having them pass. And that's another big problem. Finally, let's address the virus again. The virus is being handled in some ways by mandates. That is, that you have to be vaccinated or tested once a week and wear masks. Some people refuse to do that and are being fired or quitting from positions. Some states are then allowing these people to collect unemployment insurance. Now, normally unemployment insurance, and sorry, I'm visiting this again, but this really annoys me. Unemployment insurance normally is not available to a worker who either quits or is fired. And there is some inquiry about the basis of the firing to determine whether a person should nevertheless receive benefits. What we have here is we have 4 states, and more will join with the new year when their legislatures are in place, to pay these people unemployment insurance, notwithstanding their violations, putting a burden on the businesses that fired them to keep their workforce and their customers safe, and contradicting a policy that many of them say they believe in. That is, they say they believe in the vaccinations. And there is, a 1905 case that provided that you can mandate vaccinations. You can mandate the treatment and the punishment of those who don't agree. And that involved a case up in Massachusetts. So that's what I have today. I'm out on a pretty pleasant day. It's kind of nice out here. And it's not t-shirt weather, but it's brisk and friendly, and it allows one to escape the madness of the funny farm on the hill, which causes trouble even when they're not physically present. So be well, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. All the best. Bye-bye.